computer is picking up a strange signal. Here, sir, you better take a look at
it. Hello, dear listener, and welcome to another episode of Life Through a Prism with your host, Rob Tierney. And today we're going to start a new series, and we've got our guest for this coming up series, and I'd like to welcome back Merran Thurley.
Hey, lovely to be here.
How are you doing today?
Quite well, thank you, I think.
Oh, that's good. So what you're going to talk about over the next 9 episodes is how many years have you been using a guide dog?
I've been using a guide dog now for just a little bit short of 57 years.
Wow. So you're going to share with us each of those dogs in a separate podcast?
Yes, we can do. Yes,
and about your experience. So, what were the names? This will test you. What were the names of your 9 dogs?
Okay, in order?
Yeah, in order.
Boyd, Buffy, Shannon, Tony, Monty, Leo, Ida, Jacob, and Kayla.
Well done. So, we're going to talk about your first dog today, Boyd.
Yeah, Boyd, yes.
So, over to you, Merran, and look forward to listening to your story.
Well, my story begins shortly before I actually left school. I had met some of the staff from Guide Dogs from Melbourne, and we filled in a few of the obligatory forms and so forth that had to be done at the time. And of course, that doesn't mean that you need to be in Melbourne tomorrow. Sometimes it's a matter of months, because they've got to choose a dog that may suit. And mostly they do it very well. I mean, and in my case, it's been quite a good long tail.
Yeah. So you said before you left school, how old were you?
I would have been then, I suppose, about 16 when we were sort of doing those sorts of things. I left school in Hobart at 17. Yes, I was just 17. And I began a year at the community college in Devonport. And within that time, that was when my first dog was going to be introduced.
Okay.
It could have been the end of my school year in Hobart, but it wasn't. Because it.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, listen. If you're hearing noises in the background that sound like slurping water, that's Merran's latest dog, Kayla. So if you hear any noises like that, or huffs or puffs, or she comes around and wants a pat, don't worry, that's what the noise is. Go ahead, Merran.
Okay, and so the decision was then made that it would be in the following year, which was 1968, and they've been mentioned lots of time, and various people, members of the family and so forth, wanted to know when all of this was going to happen. Who was going to pay for it? Which was the least of my worries at the time. So we began into the years 1968, and I would be going to Melbourne, because in those days it was a residential course. I'm not even sure how they do it these days, even for Victorian people, but that's not to worry about it now. And the time came, and it was going to be Saturday, about the 13th, 14th of July. And of course there was an airline strike on. I don't quite know who, because in those days I was just blown away. I wanted to go and get this job done, and I wasn't able to go as we should do on a Saturday morning. And it came to me that we were going on the Tuesday evening. I mean, some of the other people who were all there before us were not too many. It was pretty much Wednesday lunchtime before everybody was assembled, and we could continue.
Yeah.
And it had to be a double class because of this particular situation. 2 instructors, 8 dogs, and 8 people.
Right.
So, and then we all, because we didn't have our 2 or 3 days then, we all sat down their bedrooms waiting for the dogs.
Right.
And nobody had any idea whose dog was coming first, what its name would be, what sort of dog it was.
Mm-hmm.
And I was waiting, and then they brought in this beautiful big American Retriever.
Mm-hmm.
They are big dogs.
Okay.
Hairy, woolly, but a sort of more curly hair than straight. And he was gorgeous.
Yeah.
He was rusty colour.
Right.
And his name was Boyd.
Mm-hmm.
And it was given to me that it was Boyd, like the artist. He was named after the artist.
Okay, right.
Yeah, so that was quite interesting. Now I had to start on something I'd never done before. Wow, this is something new. So I began, like everybody did, quite nervously, to trust this beautiful big animal when we're going out for walks. Did fall over once, but never mind. And then you just progressed. You started off with everybody instructing, almost riding on your shoulder, quite close. And then as the days went by, he got further and further away until you got the message right. This walk is like a slice of bread. It's 4 quarters, with the spaces being the roads that you cross on the way round. Okay. So we did this walk, and I observed somebody going the wrong way. I thought, well, what do I do about this? And I heard the voice. No, just carry on with what you're doing. Okay, so I did, and it just as you know, 4 weeks it was of this, and everything we went a bit faster and a bit quicker, and went into more places where we were sort of managing things on our own. I mean, into a little market that was in one of the railway stations. Oh, gee, that was a bit scary.
Yeah.
And noisy. And I suppose that was the part that really bothered me, was trying to hear and hoping that my dog knew what he was doing. He was a gorgeous boy. And a few phone calls from home, and I was telling him what this big boy was like. And I didn't know whether the cat was going to be terribly interested in this. Oh dear! And but I'm beginning to think, oh gee, I love this idea, and I wonder how we can how we go and we get on their own territory. And but then of course they're starting to do things which are allowing you to consider these sort of things are going to be happening at home, and how you were going to deal with it. Now, over the years, everything of that sort has changed as each dog goes through, because the matter of time in between, that new ideas, new ways of doing things occur.
Okay.
So I still think a lot about that first round with Boyd, and the language I was using then. For him to understand what we were doing, and thinking to myself, I use all of that even now.
Okay. Yeah.
But because I've got so much in there to use, I can use any bit of it I do. Once I know that Kayla understands what I'm wanting her to do, then I can add my little bit to it, and that will work out perfectly well. So I mean, there was quite a good little hostel situation, and I can remember. One night somebody got the room number wrong, and I heard a lot of noise. Somebody got into the wrong bedroom. Whoops. And that happened occasionally. But I don't know, nervously hour in the morning. He says, get up and go into the toilet, then forgetting where you are. And so here I am with this beautiful big animal. And I can remember a lot of us went to the airport with the run from all sorts of different directions. And an instructor came with me because it was my first time round. And what he'd do was go and visit some of the others while he was still working with me here, and in Tasmania. And so that's what they used to do. If you were up for a visit, then you'd get them to come. They'd come. In those days, you had to send in little weekly reports, little things. Well, you knew what to put on them.
And that was by phone call?
Oh, no, it was actually by mail.
By snail mail?
Yeah,
okay. No internet back then, misters?
No, I had to, we had to, and then some of them were printed and you'd get them, and then you have to put your your bit into it of what else, whether they'd stopped near the curb, whether they stopped on the curb, whether they overshot the curb, all these different things. What was their speed like, that sort of thing.
So what was the aim of doing that? Was that to sort of see whether you and the dog were working together?
Yes, that would be one of the very, very necessary reasons that by doing that, and it also went for their own records too, because of course then you get before I left and before all of others left, there was a photo taken of you and the dog, and that was kept over the years. Now somewhere in this wide world there are 9 pictures of dogs that I have, and probably a very thick file that you couldn't jump over with all the bits and pieces, because every time you reported back, of course, the information went into the system. So well, the next time round they had another fair idea of what was going to work, and it was exciting, because I bought this big boy back, and I was still working in the old Devonport Tech College buildings in those days. Oh dear. And the front hall was slippery. Everybody fell over on that.
Oh dear.
Even the dog. And we were often upstairs, and some of the rooms that the boys were using, and they weren't terribly careful with furniture or anything else, and didn't do our stockings much good either, I mean, I tell you. Boyd managed it all right. He had a spot just down beside where my desk was, and he just sprawled himself out there every morning. Nice and comfortable, thank you very much. And being the first that had ever had a guide dog in the place, of course, in those days there weren't too many in Tasmania.
Right.
There were a few, but not the numbers today, and not the kind of things that they're doing today either. Yeah, so Boydie, he was with me from 1968, and we retired him at the end of 76, early 77.
Okay.
I thought, what am I going to do now?
So what, we won't look in the next episode when we talk to you what you do now. So what life experiences did you have during that time that Boyd was involved with?
I went to a number of weddings. And for some weird, he got stuck under a pew at one place.
You did, or the dog?
No, the dog.
Okay. Just wanted to clarify that, listeners.
No, the dog did. Oh, dear me. Yeah, some of the friends of ours, one lass who I still see from time to time from Brisbane. I went to her wedding, and none of that. I went on my own, I think. I don't think the family went. But I'm not sure how all that went. But anyway, that would have been later in Boyd's existence, wouldn't it? And my dear friend Chris from Devonport tells me he's still got a picture of me and Boyd coming up to their old William Street house.
Oh, okay.
And going in. Yeah.
So, had you started working life when you had Boyd?
Oh, no.
No, okay, that's for the next episode, is it?
Yes, yes, it can be, yeah.
Yep. Okay then. Well, thank you very much for that, Merran. We've got a long journey to go, and I'm sure a lot of stories. But before we leave today, if there's somebody listening that was at the age that you were when you got your first dog and is really scared, unsure about it, what would you say to them?
What I'd say to them is please talk to the local instructor, who will, at this stage now, would be the person that you would have first contact with. Do that. I mean, because he is usually around when it's time to make up all the paperwork and the applications, everything that has to go in beforehand. And if there's anything that really bothers you, make sure that you ask the questions and make sure you get your answers. That way, it should make it easier and a more smoothly running course. Now they do them domiciliary, so it works a bit differently than it used to. But I'm sure by doing that way and getting in contact with somebody, if you, they'll probably encourage you to do it in any case.
Well, thank you, Merran, and thank you, listener. And until next time, take care and bye for now.